The Axeman played jazz to survive. New Orleans danced for its life. New Orleans, 1918. The city smells like river rot and gunpowder. A man walks the streets at night. He carries an axe. He doesn't steal. He doesn't speak. He chisels through back doors. Italian grocers mostly. Husbands and wives asleep in iron beds. He splits their skulls. Then he leaves the axe on the floor, like a signature. The cops find no fingerprints, no motive, no pattern that holds. Then comes the letter, signed, "From Hell." He says he's a demon. He says he loves jazz. He says on a certain Tuesday night, he'll spare any house where a jazz band is playing. And the city, the whole damn city, listens. Pianos, trumpets, clarinets. Every window in New Orleans screaming Dixieland into the dark. A century later, the file is still open. No name, no face, just an axe and a song. Who was he? Why grocers? Why jazz? And why, after the music stopped, did the killings stop too? Act 1. The Stain. An axe through the back door, and a city wakes up bleeding. May 23rd, 1918. Joseph Maggio runs a corner grocery on Magnolia Street. His wife Catherine sleeps beside him. The shutters are closed. The doors are locked. Outside, somebody is working a chisel through a panel of the back door. Slow, patient, like a carpenter on a job. He climbs in. He finds the axe in their own backyard shed. Their axe. He brings it inside. Catherine first. One swing. Her throat opens. The bed turns into a pond. Joseph wakes up to the sound, tries to sit up. The blade comes down. Then again. Then again. His brothers find them at dawn. Joseph still breathing. Barely. He dies on the floor. Catherine, nearly decapitated. The bed soaked through to the springs. The axe sits propped against the porch, clean side up, like it's resting. On a nearby sidewalk, somebody has scrawled a message in chalk. Mrs. Maggio is going to sit up tonight, just like Mrs. Tony. The cops read it twice, 3 times. Mrs. Tony, a grocer's wife murdered 6 years earlier. Same way. Axe, back door. They thought that case was closed. They were wrong. 28 days later, June 27th, Louis Bessemer, another grocer, another back door chiseled open. The axe takes Bessemer in the head. He survives. His mistress, Anna Lowe, doesn't. She lives long enough to whisper a name. Then she takes it back. Then she dies. August 5th, Mrs. Schneider, pregnant, beaten in her bed. Survives, barely. Delivers her baby a week later. August 10th, Joseph Romano, elderly, Italian. Grocer, of course. Axe to the head, dead. His nieces hear the thumps, run into the room, see a tall figure in a dark coat slip out the back. He moves like he's done this before, because he has. The papers give him a name, the Axeman. Black ink, front page, every morning. By autumn, New Orleans has triple locked every door. Husbands sleep with shotguns across their chests. Italian families hire boys to sit on porches all night with hatchets in their laps. But chisels don't care about locks, and nobody can stay awake forever. The cops dust for prints. Nothing. They follow blood trails. Nothing. They check every rail car, every steamer, every flophouse. Nothing. 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 He's a ghost in a dark coat. He's the city's nightmare made flesh. And he hasn't even sent the letter yet. Act 2. The Shadows. A demon writes a love note. A whole city plays jazz to live. The cops do what cops do when they have nothing. They round up Italians. It must be the mafia, they say. Black hand extortion. Sicilian vendettas. Has to be. They sweat suspects in basement rooms. They squeeze grocers for protection racket gossip. They arrest a man named Frank Giordano, 18 years old. Of course, it's the 18-year-old. Wrong size, wrong build, wrong everything. Doesn't matter. They charge him anyway. The witness who fingers Giordano is a woman named Rosie Cortimiglia. She survived an axe to the skull and watched her 2-year-old daughter die in her arms. She points at Giordano because he's the neighbor she hates. The cops call it good. Conviction. Death sentence. Years later, Rosie crawls into a newspaper office and confesses she lied. Her face eaten by smallpox. She calls it God's punishment. Giordano walks. The Axeman keeps walking too. Meanwhile, March 14th, 1919, the letter arrives. It lands at the offices of the Times-Picayune, postmarked Hell, handwritten in a tight, deliberate scrawl.
Esteemed mortal, they have never caught me, and they never will. He says he's not a man. He's a demon, a fallen angel. He's been killing since the dawn of time. Then comes the bargain, the line that turns a serial killer into folklore. Next Tuesday night at 12:15 a.m., I'm going to pass over New Orleans. In every place where a jazz band is in full swing, the people shall be spared. He wants jazz. He's making the city perform for him. The Times-Picayune prints it. Every word, front page. And New Orleans does what New Orleans does. It plays. Tuesday night, March 18th, 1919. Every saloon, every parlor, every juke joint, every middle-class living room. Packed. Pianos hammering, horns wailing, phonographs cranked till the needles cry. Sheet music sells out citywide. A composer named Joseph de Villa writes The Mysterious Axeman's Jazz and sells it by the thousands. A whole city dancing to save its own throat. By dawn, no one is dead. The Axeman didn't strike. The papers crow. He kept his word. But the cops know better. He didn't keep a promise. He just enjoyed the show. He made a city kneel. He made it sing. And then, silence for months. Detectives chase shadows. They follow Italian rail workers to Texas. They interrogate a sailor named Joseph Mumphrey. They run down every grocer who ever owed money. The Axeman wasn't extorting Italians. He was selecting them, the way a butcher selects a cut. The cops never catch up, because the man they're hunting isn't running. He's standing right behind them, smiling. And in August, the chisel goes back to work. Act 3. The Deviant. The man who loved jazz. And the dark thing that loved him back. Mike Pepitone, grocer, Italian. August 10th, 1919. His wife Esther wakes up to the sound she's heard about in every newspaper for a year. The wet thump, the crack of bone. She runs into the bedroom. Her husband's head is open like a melon. The blood is climbing the wallpaper. She sees him, the Axeman, standing over the bed. Tall, heavy, a dark coat, a dark hat. He turns. He sees her. He doesn't swing. He just walks out. Through the back door he chiseled open an hour earlier. Esther will remember that face for the rest of her life. She tells no one, yet. She waits. So who was he? After 100 years, the file is full of guesses. None of them stick. Theory 1, the mafia hitman. Doesn't fit. Mafia killers don't write love letters to newspapers. They don't ask for jazz. They ask for money. Theory 2, a copycat or copycats. Different killers using the same MO. The chisel work is too consistent. The wounds match too clean. One man, one method. Theory 3, the most disturbing one. Joseph Mumfree. Mumfree was a small-time crook, in and out of prison. Every time he went inside, the killings stopped. Every time he came out, bodies appeared. The dates line up, almost. Not perfectly, almost. But Mumfree is a thug, not a poet. The letter from hell, the jazz demand, the literary flourish. That doesn't match a man who can barely read. Unless that was the whole game. The mask, the performance. Modern profilers look at the case and see a man who killed for thrill. Sexual sadism dressed up as theater. The chisel work itself, slow, methodical, intimate, is the hand of a man who loves the approach more than the kill. He didn't take valuables. Cash sat on dressers. Jewelry sat in drawers. He stepped over money to reach beds. He took their own axes from their own sheds and used them on their own bodies. That's not robbery. That's not extortion. That's intimacy, the most sickening kind. He wanted the moment of impact. He wanted to stand over them, to watch breath stop. The jazz letter wasn't a joke. It was a fantasy. A god demanding offerings. A whole city forced to perform for an audience of one. Imagine sitting in a Storyville parlor that Tuesday night. Trumpets screaming, whiskey on the table. And somewhere out in the dark, a man in a coat is listening to your fear and grinning. He wasn't a Sicilian foot soldier. He wasn't a drunk with a grudge. He was something rarer. A predator who understood theater. And in December 1921, 2,000 miles away in Los Angeles, Esther Pepitone walked up to a man on a sidewalk, pulled a revolver, and emptied it into him. His name was Joseph Mumfree. She told the LA cops he was the man who killed her husband. The Axeman of New Orleans, she said. I just shot him. Act 4. The Trap. A widow's revolver. A name on a coroner's slab. A truth nobody could prove. Los Angeles, December 5th, 1921. Esther Pepitone has tracked Joseph Mumfree across half a continent. She doesn't go to the police. She doesn't go to the press. She buys a gun. She finds him on a sidewalk. She walks straight up. She fires until the cylinder is empty. Mumfree falls, dead before the bullets stop ringing. Esther doesn't run. She stands there with the smoking pistol and waits for the cops. She tells them everything. He killed my husband. He was the Axeman. I saw his face that night. I never forgot it. The LA prosecutors charge her with murder. She gets 10 years, serves 3, walks out, and disappears into history. Compare Esther Pepitone as a young widow in 1919 New Orleans, her mugshot in Los Angeles 1921, Gunsmoke still in her story. And here's where the case turns into a wound that never closes. Was she right? The dates do match. Mumphrey's prison stretches, and the Axeman's quiet periods overlap like fingerprints. He left New Orleans in 1919. The killings there stopped. He surfaced in Los Angeles, working as, of all things, a small-time extortionist of Italian families. The same demographic, the same shtick, but there's no chisel found, no axe in his belongings, no letter in his handwriting on file. 1920s forensics is a joke. No DNA, no real fingerprint database, no genealogy genetics, no CCTV, no cell pings, no genetic genealogy databases that 100 years later would hand cops a name in an afternoon. Just a widow with a gun and a corpse on a slab in California. Modern investigators have reopened the file a dozen times. They've matched the chisel marks across crime scene photos. They've tried to extract anything from the original 1918 evidence. The evidence is gone. Lost to fires, floods, century-old filing systems. Hurricane Katrina drowned what was left. The axe from the Maggio house, the blood-stained chisel from the Romano scene, the original From Hell letter, all vanished. The Axeman walked away clean, not because he was clever, because the world wasn't ready to catch him yet. If those scenes had happened in 2018 instead of 1918, a single hair, a single skin cell, a single boot print in the back garden, he'd have been in cuffs by Christmas. But it was 1918! Mask off. Maybe. Joseph Mumphrey. Maybe. Or maybe he was just a thug Esther needed to be the monster, so her husband's death could mean something other than random. The official file in New Orleans says, unsolved. It has never been changed. The Axeman case closed itself. The killings simply stopped after Pepitone went into the ground in California. Coincidence? Or confession written in lead? We will never know. And that not knowing is the second wound, the one that bleeds slowest, the one that bleeds longest. Act 5. The Void. A city danced to live. The bandstand emptied. The dead stayed dead. The bodies. Let's count them. Joseph and Catherine Maggio, Anna Lowe, Joseph Romano, Mary Cortimiglia, age 2, Mike Pepitone. At least 6 dead. At least a dozen survivors who carried the dent of the chisel in their skulls for the rest of their lives. Frank Giordano spent years on death row for a murder he didn't commit. His name only cleared because a dying woman couldn't lie to God. The widows, the orphans, the families who emigrated from Sicily looking for a better life and found an axe instead. New Orleans treated them like extras in a horror story. The papers ran the killings as entertainment. The From Hell letter was reprinted and laughed at and turned into sheet music. A composer made money off it. The city danced to it. And in the dark, a man took notes. Italian Americans in 1918 New Orleans were not citizens to the police. They were suspects in waiting, a stereotype with a grocery store attached. That's why the cops chased mafia phantoms instead of doing real police work. That's why the killer had so much room to walk.
Bigotry didn't pull the trigger, but it widened the door he chiseled through. Esther Pepitone died in obscurity. Her name, a footnote. The woman who maybe killed the Axeman, a vigilante in a society that gave her no other option. She buried her husband. She tracked his killer for 2 years. She executed him on a public street, and the system she had no faith in put her in a cage for it. Tell me where the justice lives in that.
The Axeman's letter is still studied. Criminologists call it one of the earliest examples of a serial killer crafting a public persona. A century before the Zodiac, a century before BTK, he invented a template. He proved that fear, packaged correctly, could make a city dance. And every Halloween in New Orleans, somebody plays the mysterious Axeman's jazz on a piano in the quarter. Tourists laugh, they take pictures. They forget there are real graves underneath the punchline. The grocery stores he bled are gone. Magnolia Street looks nothing like it did. The shutters he chiseled have rotted into landfill. But the case file, thin, yellowed, incomplete, still sits in a drawer at the New Orleans Police Department, marked open. Open. Forever. Epilogue. What remains is a song. What was lost will never come home. He came in through the back door. He used their own axes. He left them in their own beds. And then he wrote a letter, and a whole city played jazz to keep him from coming back. We don't know his name. We probably never will. The signs that could have caught him didn't exist yet. The witnesses are dust. The evidence is silt at the bottom of the Mississippi. The only thing left is a sheet of music and a stack of front pages, and the word unsolved stamped on a folder no one opens anymore. He understood something modern killers learned later, that terror is a performance, that a city will choreograph its own fear if you give it the right script. He gave New Orleans a song. New Orleans gave him an audience. 6 dead, a dozen broken, a century of silence. The Axeman wasn't caught. He wasn't punished. He wasn't named. He just stopped, like a record running out, like a hand setting down a chisel for the last time. In the end, the only justice was that he died somewhere of something, probably bored, probably in his sleep. The dead got nothing. The city got a song. That's New Orleans. That's history. That's